This is the Hunt Quietly podcast. I'm Matt Ranella. So it's common for Australian men to have a shed that's like their man cave.
Yeah, I'd say so. It might be getting a bit more old school now. To a lot of people are probably following the man cave idea or having it in their house or whatever. But it's definitely a thing that I grew up with. That if you didn't know where your uncle was, he's probably in the shed.
Oh, huh. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think my entire estate is my man cave because I live alone. So like I have
okay.
a house, a garage, a shed, and a barn. Um, so yeah, I'm man cave rich, I guess. So what's been
Yeah,
going
no,
on
this is
since last we talked? It's coming into spring there for you, which is so odd to contemplate because it's becoming fall here.
yeah. No, it's we've had a bit of a warm spell the last sort of week and a half. It's definitely come out the back of winter, and but we're getting a lot of that. I mean, there's no doubt. I'm not a massive, and I don't want to get carried away with the whole climate change thing, but definitely things have changed. Like everything's getting pushed. Definitely, what would it be? Winters are sort of seemingly shorter. Summers are seemingly longer.
Mm,
Um, so and the spring now. So now's our real windy time. We're getting a lot of change, and the winds are blowing like crazy over here.
yeah. Uh, yeah. I'm. It's funny because so I I'm a research scientist and I'm just inherently skeptical, but of like I've I let my view of the world be informed by data. I try to have it be informed by data,
Yeah,
and but I don't let just data push me around like at a whim. It's gotta, when I receive new information, I update my beliefs, but I don't dramatically change them. I just shift them a
sure.
little bit with every piece. But
Yeah,
if I had to guess, I'd guess that I believe in human caused climate change. Like even if it wasn't caused by isn't being caused by humans, it's hard to argue that there's not that it's not changing, that the climate isn't changing. Because it's like
no,
year
no.
after year after year after year is the hottest year on record. These
Yeah,
last several
yeah,
years. We've
yeah.
been
I
recording temperatures for well over 100 years. What are the chances that the year after year, the last several years, is the most hottest year on record just by chance? Like there's a thing like a thing called a Poisson process in statistics that would show that that's remarkably unlikely. And then
yeah.
like the stuff with the glaciers, that's just it's pretty striking to see where those glaciers were in places like Iceland and Alaska, where the spatial extent of them, what it used to be and what it is now, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I've
So
seen
and it seems
it
like
is.
regardless of what's causing it, it's something we should be concerned about, especially if you live close to sea level.
Yeah, that's probably my take on it more than anything else. The cause or the contributors or not, it's definitely happening.
Yeah.
There's something going on, and it's definitely something you got to take into account. It'd be crazy to not take it into account. I mean, people
There's
living
almost
on the
this, yeah. There's almost a sense in which it doesn't matter what the cause is because I don't think that we're going to do anything about it anyway. I just have a hard time imagining society being like, okay, we're going to stop flying around in jets, you know?
yeah,
My wife is a politician and she professes to be extremely concerned about climate change. And she's a very serious person, but like she just booked us a trip to Kenya, you know? So it's just not like, it's just not, she has this abstract concern for it, but it doesn't manifest itself in any kind of changes in her day to day decision making. And I'd say that if that's true for her, somebody who considers themselves something of a climate zealot, then it's probably true for most people that there no one's going to
Yeah,
really.
but I guess without obviously knowing her take on things, she probably comes at it from an angle of try to do like the sort of day to day things that we find necessary these days are almost like a necessary evil. But she's probably coming at it from like all the extra junk. You know what I mean? Like my take on it, the bloody the temperature or not. My main thing that pisses me off is just litter. It's just rubbish. Like
Mm,
I'm not saying that directly obviously contributes to frigging climate change. I'm just saying just the amount of shit that's out there now. Um, Crap that's floating around the ocean, crap that's up in the bush that I see all the time. It's just that sort of stuff. And I think that the problem is though, people see that and it just compounds their overall take on what humans have done. I don't think it necessarily, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like the climate change thing is just like I don't know, it's a way for people to sort of voice their general take on humanity versus just that issue alone, which I
yeah,
get. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
pretty, it's pretty, it's pretty shit to see people treating the planet badly, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. There's some kinds
And
of.
it ties. Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say it ties into the whole thing that we're on about. Like really, like people treating the place badly is similar to crowding. It's
Oh,
in terms of we all know that everyone knows it's a real special and precious and finite resource that we're using, that we're being a part of, that we're consuming. But but we can't help ourselves. We have to be there. We have to be there en masse all the time. We have to be jostling for position at the front. Um, you know,
yeah.
um, it's just a yeah, it's just a shitty thing that we're all a part of, I guess.
What do you mean? What do you mean jostling for position?
Well, crowding. I mean, the essence is to be there. You want to be in front of the line, right?
Oh,
Like, there's a reason why everyone's turning up to the same spots and trying to get there a little bit earlier than the next guy. Um, the guys at the back of the line that turn up late, which might be you might just turn around and go back down the mountain. You might go, there's too many people here already. But I don't know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You were asking
There's a
me.
lot of yeah,
You were asking me in the email about like with hunting and crowding if uh and I can understand this question. I've heard this question before. I've heard people say, well, I don't see how crowding could be an issue because the or it seems that it's a fixed the extent of crowding is fixed by the amount of the number of tags they hand out. So it cannot get more crowded than the number of tags that get handed out, you know? And even people in the US that understand the hunting situation that they're for their part of the country where they live often say that. But like where I live, it's just not that way because there's no limit to the number of tags they give out.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. That's why I asked. Is it mainly in the unlimited areas or in the over the counter area? And I get that. Like I've always. I mean, that's a free for all, right? Um,
Now,
but
where
I
I'm
just didn't
hunting
know
this
whether.
year, like I'm about to go off the grid indefinitely. I think I'm going to go on leave without pay. Um,
Yeah,
so I'm going to like go hunting for as long as it takes or the season ends. And where I'm hunting this year,
yeah,
it is a draw area. It's,
okay,
it's borderline undersubscribed, meaning some, some years it is undersubscribed, meaning there's more tags than there are applicants, you
yeah,
know. So, but then there's also areas in in the West or in the United States throughout the US where the number of tags, the number of applicants dwarfs the number of tags. Like your chances of
Yeah.
drawing are one in several
Yeah. Yeah.
hundred,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
which has always been one of the main reasons. Nah, it's always been one of the many reasons that I found hunter recruitment so patently ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
the demand so far outstrips the supply that you'd be lucky to be able to hunt in a particular part of the country once in your life, and
Yeah.
there's still, and it's still like the community is still intent on increasing the
Yeah.
demand still further. You know, it's so
Yeah. And then in reality, at the last minute, everyone realizes they can't go there, so they, just pile on the already big pile on in the over the counter areas and make that thing even shittier than it already is, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I yeah, it's funny that like this just isn't like it's obviously known to those that kind of give a shit and look into it just even a tiny little bit. But your average guy really that doesn't look into things too deep, or especially people that are part of this new wave of people that are getting into it, they outside of the States, man, no one knows about this.
Outside of outside the states, no one knows about what.
They don't know kind of more the realities of hunting over there. It's seen as and again, I'm really speaking for someone that's not myself, so I am putting words in other people's mouths. But my general take on it is that people just see it, America is basically this land of just eternal hunting,
Oh, that's interesting. Okay,
right?
yeah, yeah. I don't have a solid sense of what people in different parts of the world think about hunting in America. Yeah,
No,
but
like yeah, some guys, a few of the people I know that know about it, they know about it, right? Like they know the realities and they know that it's not just this there's not a moose around every corner, right? But
uh-huh.
so many so many people just because of and a lot of it is because of the amount of media that we see and consume over here that's 99.9% based out of the States is it we only ever see the good stuff, right? We only ever see the actual action of what's happening. You never see, for instance, there's never a video of a guy that's going to his mailbox and pulling out the letter and it says you drew fuck all today. And then he just goes back and signs, right?
No, no. What you see in hunting media is, yeah, the hunts that are filmed hunts are mostly somebody drew a special tag or they paid a ton of money.
Yeah,
So content creators put in for every hunting opportunity they can. You know, if
yeah,
there's a lottery, they're buying tickets for that lottery. So they do that, and then so that you're either seeing the results of them entering every lottery, like they're hunting some draw that they were
yeah,
successful in, or they're paying huge amounts of money for a landowner sponsored tag or something like that. You know,
yeah,
so it's just like
yeah.
not. It's not. It's not at all what hunting is to the average
No,
hunter in the US. Like,
yeah,
so I'd say I represent my experience, my year to year experience represents what's typical for somebody living in one of the premier hunting states in the country. Like
yeah,
Montana is one of the premier hunting states. And you know, and I hunt almost exclusively over the counter tags. Like right
yeah,
now this year I'm hunting a tag that's for all intents and purposes is an over the counter tag, but for elk, But
Yep.
I've never killed an elk on a special tag. All my elk and all my deer, all my elk and all my deer that I've killed have been on over the counter tags. And
Yep.
and you know, the hunting's pretty good here still if you're willing to hustle. It's gotten worse. You got to if you're on. It used to be that when I moved here 20 years ago from the western part or the eastern part of the country, the hunting was pretty good even if you didn't hustle. But now
Yeah.
you got to hustle. You got to be willing to go way back. You got to be able to vote in the hills. You got to be devoted to. You got to be able to be willing to put in a lot of time. But
Yeah.
you
So,
can still be
I mean,
successful on a year-to-year basis with over-the-counter tags where I live. But there's other
yeah.
states where it's just not that way. Where I mean, there's not over-the-counter tags. Like I just had these guys on from New Mexico, and it's all draw. I mean, that's a huge state with all kinds of public land,
Yeah.
and those guys go 2-3 years without even drawing a tag, like having no opportunity to hunt big game in their own state.
Okay, but here's the thing though. But does that make their hunting when they do get to go better? Like, are they experiencing the same amount of just people everywhere sort of bullshit or not?
Oh, I would imagine it just almost by definition has to be the case that if they opened it up, then the quality would go down. So
Without a doubt. So what I'm saying is that part of an answer?
to
Like,
like
if your state did that,
it's just not the
uh,
kind of answer that's interesting to me or that I think that I feel compelled to focus on. Like to me, there's just there's hard constraints on what the systems can handle. There's like
yeah,
only so many deer out there. There's
correct,
only so many elk out there. To me, there's
correct.
just some things that are just blatantly obvious that we should do. Like stop hunting promotion. Why would we be promoting an activity where the existing members of the community that are engaged in that activity can't get their fill? It's just
No,
comical to me. So that's where I just feel compelled to say so. I mean, yeah, you could implement laws to. There's obviously just I'm a hunt quality guy. I care about the quality of hunting, and I'm pretty much the only person in the hunting community that's like trying to have a voice and speak out on issues that concern the hunting community. That's a hunt quality person. All the orgs, all the hunting celebrities are anti-quality. Um, so you can't be promoting hunting and be pro quality because bringing more people in lowers the quality. So I just think of myself as the only like pro hunt quality person that's trying to speak up. But to me, the way to do it is I mean, you could pass laws to up quality. Yeah, we're going to half the tags so that you get to hunt. The hunt quantity goes down by half. If you half the tags in some unit, the hunt quantity goes down by half, but the hunt quality goes up, right? But
yeah.
rather than that, why not just stop with the hunting promotion for a start?
Okay, but let me just keep pushing you on this because it's not. I mean, as you know, I very much am in. Um, my thoughts and feelings align with yours very much so. But in terms of playing the devil's advocate, couldn't you argue that? All right, so we've got to this point where there's just too many friggin' hunters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what about if in a parallel universe we're in the same position as we are now, but the amount of hunters wasn't due to the explosion of the internet and social media and crap. Um, what about if it was just due to sheer population size? Like, what about if we got here in a different way, right? There was just too many hunters. It didn't matter how they got here. there was just too many hunters, right?
Uh-huh.
The, well, in a way, we'd be in the same boat, right? Like if at the end of the day, it's all about hunt quality, and I'm totally on board with that. Like hunting ceases to even be interesting unless it's quality,
Right. Yep,
right?
same.
Uh, so
If it has to be quality and it has to be free.
yeah, and
I
it has
mean,
to
when I
be.
say free, I mean like that I'm not paying for access.
Mhm.
No.
Yeah. It's it because it then every time you do it again, I don't want to get off track, but every time you do pay it, it gets further and further away from almost a, a, a sort of a just going out and just harvesting, or I hate that word, but getting something just that just grew versus there's almost you're starting to, because you paid for it in a roundabout way. It's not the same sort of, you straight up earned it sort of feel,
Yep,
you
that's
know.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
Anyway,
It just starts to
so
flirt with, it starts to become more akin to, I don't know, like going by, going up to banging on the door of a ranch and saying, "Can I buy one of your steers?" And the guy goes, "Sure." And then you go, "Oh, by the way, can I go kill it myself?" You know?
yeah, I know. That's obviously the most blatant sort of example. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like I've never handed over a box of beer to a farmer or some,
Oh, I like stuff like that. Just like that doesn't,
what
that's different
whatever
to
it might
me.
be.
Yeah.
We've had farmers just whatever, and you just give them $50 or whatever the case of beer might have been. It's not like I'm immune to that sort of more lower end kind of just.
Yeah, same. And I'm somebody that raises money and gives appreciation, gives to farmers and ranchers that allow public hunting, and I do work projects on farms and ranches that allow public
Yeah,
hunting. But the key difference for me there is I'm doing it so that everyone can hunt.
yeah,
Like that
yeah,
that's a like a major distinction for me. If members of the hunting community are doing something to make sure everybody has somewhere to go, then that I think that I'm totally on board with. What I freaking
but
just despise more than anything is people that spend huge sums of money and to make sure that they're the only one on a place and then make content about it and put it out on YouTube or the Sportsman's channel and don't even like say that they paid money to lock everybody else out. Oftentimes it's the hunting industry that pays for them to do it, you know. That's the stuff that just
okay. So there's a couple of things there though. So go back to where I was going. So firstly, if we were just at the same point where there was just too many hunters, right?
right, but we
Regardless of
got there we got there through population growth, not through hunting promotion.
or whatever. Let's just say hunting was so much more mainstream, for instance, right? Let's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
say
yeah,
there was
yeah, yeah.
let's just say this. Let's just say people who played baseball never found that game, and they took up hunting in America, right?
Right. You could or it could be
Right.
that like all of a sudden let's say that conventionally raised meat, there was some disease transmissions that made it so it was just like no longer viable to raise livestock because all those species got wiped out by disease. So if you wanted to eat meat, you had to hunt it. Then you'd be in a situation where there'd be a lot more hunters, right? Because there'd be a lot of people still would want to eat some meat. Yeah,
I
or
probably wouldn't have.
population growth or whatever. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't gone you as crazy as you did, but let's go with whatever. So anyway,
Yeah.
so we'd be at the same. We'd have the same. The way that it pissed us off wouldn't be there at least as much, right? Like that annoying kind of like the shitty way we've got here. It'd be more understand. It'd still be a shit result, but it'd be understandable, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
here's the thing: we're faced with the same problem. So at that point, at that point, I can't see how the way that your system works wouldn't be enacted, wouldn't take some sort of responsibility for trying to preserve the actual, like you said, the quality of the hunting in restricting how many people will let through the gate, so to speak, right? Like you would want that, even though therefore you couldn't hunt as often. You would want to keep the quality to the level that when you did get to go, it was really, really awesome, right?
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to figure out what the right balance was, you know,
Yeah, but
like,
you would be up for that, right? Like you would,
oh yeah, absolutely. Sure. I wouldn't be an
right?
advocate for where I mean, I would think of it as you're turning a dial. Like at one end of the dial, it's the hunting is absolutely bitching because you're the only
Yeah,
one that drew the tag and you're the only one hunting
sure,
a 20
sure.
square mile area. And at the other end of the dial, it's carte blanche. Anybody can go, and it's like
Yeah,
physically dangerous to even be out there because there's rounds flying all over the
yep,
place. So we're trying to
yep,
figure
yep,
out
yep.
where's the dial, where you want to set the dial. I wouldn't then have a movement like fixated on where the dial should be set. I wouldn't just it's just not wouldn't be interesting to me. The whole thing reason this is interesting enough to me and motivational, like motivates me enough to get involved and try to do something is because it's just like it's just so absurd. The absurdity of where the orgs have ended up, the sorts of people that we celebrate in the hunting sphere and what they do, the negative effect the orgs and the hunting celebrities have on average hunters like experience is so absurd that I'm inspired to act,
Okay, so my feel, depending on which day you get me, varies between what you just said, but then on days where um I take a step back a bit further, I guess. Um, I also have a bit of a, well, how do we sort it out? How do we fix it? How does it resolve itself? How do you know what I mean? Like it's don't get me wrong, all that stuff you're talking about, it's you're when I say you're not alone, I actually think an absolute shit ton of people feel the same way. I don't think it's almost like sometimes feel when I listen to you. And I get it because I go down the same route too, right? It's kind of easier to feel a little bit alone or a little bit isolated because it feels like your vision and what you're saying is a little stronger because it's easy to sort of um it feels like your back's up against the wall. But there is a shit ton of people that feel the same way as you do, right?
I
It's
suspect so.
the only people that are hoodwinked are people, and this is not against them. They just don't know any better. They've come into it so late without the experiences and without the background that you and I have, right? They've come into it in this era of boom, right? They genuinely, I think they're hunting, a lot of their hunting is dealing with this bullshit that we hate, right? They don't know any different. They
I
think
think that's
hunting is
very
like,
insightful. I think that's very insightful. I think that's true. I see people try to engage with our stances briefly on social media or whatever, or yeah, usually it's social media, and they just are, they're just honestly, they are flummoxed. They're like, what is this thing that I do not understand what you stand
yeah.
for here?
But yeah, so I think that what can be difficult and what can be frustrating is that if people are in that boat, in that category, and so many people are, hence the issue that's reared its ugly head of late, then it's not like you're bringing attention to something that has been festering away in the back of their mind, and then they kind of go, holy shit, I've been hoodwinked, right?
Uh huh.
They don't know any different. You're actually coming. like some of the stuff that we're talking about here, and that a heap of people in our age group totally are on board with, right? You can't bring it to these newer people in the same way. They think turning up to a spot and having 8 cars there already parked is not just normal. They actually think that's kind of good, right? Like, no. Like, it's so different.
You're saying
I would
like
drive up.
you're when you say they think it's kind of good, you mean like, oh, sweet, only 8 trucks, like that kind in that way good?
Well, it could be that. It also could be like, oh, cool. There's 8 cars worth of other like-minded people in here that I
Oh,
might.
okay, yes, yeah.
There could be a range of different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could go. They could go. How good this spot? How good this spot? I thought there'd be 20 cars, right? Like what the like dude? If I turn up and I see 1 car, I'm a little bit like, oh shit,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So what I'm saying is they don't know any different, mate. They don't. So what's and then it repeats on itself, right? So then you go to the social media stuff. They're not the social media and the influency stuff. I mean, it's to be fair, it's not aimed at you and me, right? And it's not aimed. And when I say you and me, I mean you and me on behalf of everyone else that's like you and me, right?
Right, right.
It's aimed at the same group of people that have been farmed by those people to think no different.
Yeah,
Right?
that's absolutely
So, so,
that's
so,
absolutely
so what?
yeah.
So what I'm saying is that it's a captured or it's it's not a it's 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 I get the sense, and again, I don't live over there. I'm not American, but it's almost like the system now has to cater for 2 separate groups. It's almost like your age group is at the point now where it feels like, anyway, from a long way away, it feels like you've kind of had your share, right? And you're now in a point where you're probably okay with hunting a lot less, and you probably can afford to basically either pay for it or you're in the draw system and yada, yada, yada. And these young guys, they're the ones that should be just going out every other frigging day and pounding the mountain and doing all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, the system hasn't catered for that massive shift in, I don't want to use the word appreciation for the resource, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like your system has grown up with people like you, but now has to take into account this massive boom of just people that are just go, go, go. They're high fuel, just, bullshit reasons aside about fitness and health. Don't get me started on that crap. But I don't know. It's like an oval. It's like now the system is burdened to the point where it can't recover. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I work really, really hard at hunting. I always have. Like I'm pro I probably work at it harder than even most young people. I mean, I don't know of any young people that'll go off into the wilderness by themselves for 2 or 3 weeks at a stretch, in grizzly bear country, 10 miles back in the mountains. But to me, that's like nothing. So like, I don't know. I guess I feel like I work pretty hard at it, but I,
But what does it say for the quality, though, in terms of the deeper you push, right? The less, or sorry, the deeper you push, the more disturbance there is in all these places, right?
yeah,
You're pushing in deeper for longer for good reason, right? The
right.
same reason that I would, right?
Yeah.
But again, going back to your system, which is based on research and biologists and all that sort of stuff, that we simply just don't have any of that here, right? Um, are
Yeah,
they taking into account?
your biologists are on intent on removing the animals. It sounded
Correct.
like in our last episode, that's what I was
Absolutely.
getting. Yeah.
Absolutely. The 3 biologists in Australia that are actually have any sort of position in Australia to have anything to do with this are, one of them's drinking a lot of coffee, and the other two are working out some sort of special formula to, yeah, get some sort of disease in every deer, every pig, every bloody living known thing you can.
What's this
Totally.
about the coffee? What, drinking a lot of coffee?
One of them sitting around the desk doing nothing was my point, right?
Okay, okay.
It's super under resourced, is what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
it's not even taking. It's all about getting rid of, and fair enough too. We got cane. You would have heard about cane toads and carp, like really bad things that are really mess areas up, right?
yeah.
Um, so they've got all that sort of stuff, and then you've got all the stuff that we hunt as well. It's just yeah. If they could flick a switch and get rid of it tomorrow, they would, right? Anyway,
Right.
um, what I'm saying is, does all the research that goes into your units and states and stuff, are they taking into account the fact that people are pushing further and further and further just to try to get away from, just to try to find better hunting and get away from crowds? And therefore, what are the knock on effects for the animals and the quality, ongoing?
There's there's a body of research that has accumulated over many decades. So it's not like it's a hot topic now. It's just like the steady trickle of academic work looking at the effects of human disturbance on
Okay.
wildlife. The earliest studies I'm aware of uh, on the effects of hunting pressure on reproductive fitness in wildlife are from the 70s. And there's been like just a trickle of that like through time. You know, it I'm surprised that that research uh isn't that field hasn't grown much, Maybe it
Yeah.
will. Maybe it will, but
Yeah. Yeah. Just it's like, what about you? What about the shed hunting? Like, that's bananas.
oh
Like,
yeah. Yeah, and there's
like
like research like that has looked at the effects of like they've experimentally manipulated how often herds of elk have been approached in the spring leading up to calving and cow to
yeah,
calf to cow ratios in elk. And when they experimentally approach elk more frequently, so like this would be when people are shed hunting, right? Their
yeah,
calf to cow ratios decline. So yeah,
yeah, yeah,
uh, so yeah, the effects of hunting can go beyond just the reduction in the herd from shooting the animal, which is the part I like. I'm okay with that part. It's when
sure.
the the herd size is dictated in part by uh these other impacts of disturbance,
Yeah,
freaking the critters out all
yeah,
the time, making the animal like affecting their spatial distribution so that they spend time not where forage quality is highest, but where they can get away from human disturbance the best, you know,
yeah,
things like that.
yeah, yeah. Um,
And so, yeah,
yeah,
it says
yeah, right.
it cracks me up that uh, these hunting celebrities bill themselves as conservationists and these hunting based nonprofits, uh, they bill themselves as being conservation outfits, but you will never, ever, ever hear them reference this peer reviewed academic research showing that, well, their hunter recruitment efforts and their hunting promotion efforts do have deleterious effects on wildlife. It's absent
So,
from the conversation. It's always we need more. We need more hunters for conservation. You know.
so what? Okay, so and you'd know better than me, right? But like, what is their end goal? Like,
Hey,
where are they? Where are they? Where are they riding this to? Like, where? I get the money thing. Like, I get it. I get that it's their job, right? Like, it's their actual job, right?
Right.
And that they're motivated, and that they're even on the positive side, that they're creative, and that they're super motivated, and all those good things that people have, right? That they're successful, and that they, lateral think. I get all that sort of stuff, right? But in terms of the base of what both their living is based on, and also their passion is based on, what's like, what are they looking at down the road? Do they, and like I say, I probably don't give a shit. I get that too, right? Like a lot of people, you know, whatever. I made my money. I've done my time. I've had a good life, and good luck with that. I understand. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I understand that, right? That's no different to someone else. But the ones that say they care and actually do care, like, what what do they actually think? What do they?
It, okay, so if you're a hunting celebrity, let's
Yeah.
start with them. You can't hardly say you can't hardly engage in a conversation about the effects of human disturbance on natural ecosystems and wildlife um, in an honest way, because what you do on a day-to-day basis is hunting promotion,
Yeah.
right? You know, like
Yeah.
what is hunting content, like filming hunts? I mean, that there's no bigger thing. There's nothing inspiring people to go hunting more than that. And that's what you do for a living. So like to turn around and go, boy, um, there sure is some good evidence that intense hunting pressure is bad for wildlife. Like you'd be just you'd be just contradicting what you do for a living.
I think your
So there's
connection's gone funny. Cool. Yeah, man, got you back.
okay, did you catch that?
That last probably, I reckon, 10, 15 seconds is
Oh,
nothing, man.
well, I say like
Your video
what I
even
was,
dropped out.
okay. If it keeps happening, let me know and I'll turn off my video. Um, you just how do you, if you say if you're a hunting celebrity and you engage in serious discussions about how intense hunting pressures and intense human disturbance is bad for wildlife and natural ecosystems, then you're just like saying what you do for a living is bad. So you're just how could they ever say that? They just have to double down on the tropes. Hunting is conservation. We need more hunters
But
to
is that
fund conservation. We need, and then, so does that make sense?
it makes sense, but it doesn't answer the. I mean, at the end of the day, too, right? You're not them, so you sort of speculate. But the thing I don't get, the
Well,
thing
I
that
don't know.
I
I just feel so confident that that's the case. Like,
okay, but
because there's just
I
such,
just don't know how
I've
they.
been around, my brother is a hunting celebrity. I know what my brother thinks.
Yeah,
I know what my brother thinks when he's off camera. Like, I know that he hates having his hunt disturbed by somebody else as much or more than anyone, you know? But
okay. So right. So okay. So, but to make it really simplified, right? So you go for a hunt for elk, and you take your llamas and your whatever you've got there, your llamas, and you go in further and for longer than the next guy, right?
mhm,
And that's your way of, again, I'm making this really simplified, right? But and yeah, sort of forgive me for that, but that's your way of basically getting away from everyone, right?
mhm, yeah,
Okay, and then over here, let's say my way of getting away from everyone might be to um, work and work and work and work on a relationship with the farmer that always says, no, you can't come on. And finally, I get let on, and I give him, I don't know, I give him a tray of meat and a case of beer and 2 bottles of white wine for his wife. And part of that little deal is he doesn't let anyone else on. He just lets me and two mates or just me on, right? So he
Mm-hmm.
restricts access. He restricts access to his place, and that lets me have, I don't know, 400 acres of me feeling alone and being alone and having high hunt quality, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you think in a weird, not in a weird way, but it is a weird way, do you think your brother or people like him or whoever, that the path they've gone down is the exact same thing, right? They've found a way, albeit much more destructive to the wider sport than your way or my way, to find a way to hunt alone, right?
Yeah, they have, but
Or with a
that's
lot.
but the destruction is the difference. Like I don't
No, no,
like
no. I totally agree and get that. But what I'm saying is, like, are they willing to forego the destruction? Are they willing to trick themselves just because their hunting is so good? It kind of at least briefly allows them some mental respite to not have to wrestle with the shit that they're pouring down in their own thing. Like, is it worth the trade? Is what I'm saying. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying, is that the little thing they're doing? Like,
I
it
I just all I'm trying to do is make people not celebrate these people. Like
I get
why
it.
are we
I get it.
why are we celebrating and hero worshiping people that like are commodifying access or making it so that we get to hunt less of the world? Like that there's less places to hunt. And then we celebrate them? I just don't get it. I don't understand why I don't understand hunting fame. I mean, I just think of hunting fame as so bad for hunters, but there would be no hunting fame if people didn't did weren't fans of these people. So I just don't understand the impulse to be a fanboy of someone that's like making your hunting worse.
Oh, yeah, okay. So give you so here's one. So I totally understand just enjoying watching some hunting, right?
Oh yeah, I'm capped. I don't do it, but I used to like when I'd go to conferences and I'd be in a motel room because I don't have cable TV at home. I'd watch the hunting channel and I'd get a kick out of it. So
Right.
now I don't watch it now that I've matured in my like perspective on all this stuff has reached kind of like a level of maturity. I won't allow myself to look at it just because I think it's bad for a thing I love. But yeah, I understand the appeal of looking at it.
Yeah, right. So I get the yeah. So I'm not a bulk consumer of that, but I get it, right? Like I get, I've watched it plenty of times, and I don't not watch it now. But basically, my thing is I've just got other shit to do, and I don't need to see it any more than I sort of already do, right? So it's a cool thing to see, but I don't need to watch it endlessly, right? So I get watching it, enjoying it, and then walking away. I totally understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's all it's the next bit. It's the bit then when you become so attached to the actual people involved that that's more important than the actual activity itself. It's a, you know what I mean? Like it's this, like you say, it's this, like you your hunting becomes just watching them hunt. I don't get that.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
so I get
yeah,
it.
I mean, I think that it could definitely there's okay. Let's say I wasn't committed to this idea that watching hunting wasn't bad for hunting.
Sure.
I'd still think that watching too much of it, just like anything that you overindulge in, is bad for you. Just watching TV in general, spending a bunch of time watching anything on TV is not good for you, you know. But
Without a
but
doubt.
so but I mean, I just am a really really simple thinker, and when I look at hunting media, hunting TV, hunting social media, hunting YouTube, and let's say we go back to the first hunting shows in the mid 80s in the US, first cable hunting
Yeah.
TV shows. If those shows had never come about, if just like the idea of making hunting TV and videos that were put out for consumption by a broad audience, you know, more than just friends and family, if that idea had never struck society, I think that my hunting and the hunting of people like me that do it for like the traditional reasons of hide horns, meat, and personal enjoyment would be so dramatically better. So I just think that it's just been so hunting me has been so horrible for hunting. I just can't justify watching it. And now that that's ingrained in my head that it's been like the ultimate betrayal of hunting um in so many ways, I couldn't enjoy it if I wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think it's motherfucked us, man. I think it's just fucked us. It's made it so that the hunting industry actively works against hunters.
Oh, yeah. So that last statement, I totally, that's the bit that confuses me, right? Is that you're doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
That's there's that, yeah, there's that angle of betrayal that that is just. But I think what I'm saying to you, and I think some of the stuff that I've brought up before is you're not fighting decisions that people make. You're fighting like an innate. Why do people film and put anything like people film freaking anything these days and make a go of it, don't they? There's people that probably film, I don't know, carving a wooden cup and put a shitload of those videos out and I don't know, make money out of it or I don't know, get known by it or some bullshit. But
Right.
what I'm saying is
Right. There's
it's not hunting, right? The problem that that that's being faced by what we're talking about is there's things that people can't help but do. And one of those right now is film, put it on the internet and celebrate it, right? So there's that aspect to it. Doesn't matter what
mhm.
pastime it is. And then you've got the shitty thing that it just happens to be friggin' hunting that they got into, right? So what I'm saying is that what I struggle with is that it's like an addiction. It's actually part of the enjoyment that they get from hunting. Like, don't get me wrong, like I said to you last time, like I've filmed hunts, not in any sort of professional way. I've filmed hunts and I've taken photos of something that my mate shot and that I've shot or whatever. Um, but it was never like it was almost like always like a tacked on, oh, this is a be fun kind of thing to do, right?
Mhm.
But it was
Yeah.
never the reason.
The
It was
reason,
never the
right.
it was never the reason to go. The reason to go was to bugger off from everyone, find a freaking animal to shoot, and try to get close enough to whack an arrow into it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, but
And then
you do it from oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, and then you know, depending on what it is, you're ripping it apart and eating a little bit of it and trying to get your mate to eat one of the testicles and carrying the shit back to camp. You know, like it was such a fun, it's just a fun freaking thing. Right. And then the footage was almost like a weird, like just a sight, like the amount of times I try to film something and you'd end up freaking turning the camera off because it was a pain in the ass because you'd rather, um, help your mate get closer to something than freaking film it. Like the footage was just like an added thing or a way to relive it. And
Right.
it always paled into insignificance from the actual. It's a bit like I don't take anywhere near the number of photographs. Me and my missus don't take anywhere near the number of photographs of our kids as a lot of other people do. And the reason that I do it anyways, I just try to freaking be a part of the activity that they're doing instead of being the guy that sits back all the time frigging photographing the thing. Like I'd rather have the memories than the photographs,
Yep.
right?
And there is that trade off. My wife
And
sometimes, it's almost like I'm dishing on my wife now in this episode, but it's like, I mean, my wife is my hero. Like but she falls into that. She has a pretty big
yeah,
following on Instagram. She has 3,500 followers or something like that. And man, those times where I'm like, darling, you are not immersed in the experience right now because you're
yeah.
trying to curate it for your following, to the detriment of what the activity we're engaged in. So I'm glad that you're cognizant of that because I think,
So back to your influency type stuff, and then to the people that are starting that route of they might not actually intend to be the well known type person, but they're just shit. Part of this thing that I've got into hunting is displaying it, right?
yeah, like you could, like,
So
I don't think there's many people that hunt that just do it for one reason. So for me, I do it because I just have always gotten a kick out of, uh, generating my own food supply. I like working with my pack animals. I I enjoy being out in nature. I have like a curiosity about going into an area and wondering, are the critters going to be in this particular zone, or what are they going to be up to today? That, like, all this stuff. And then for a lot of people, there's this added dimension of, if I if I make content out of it, um, then another thing I like is that one is getting people to clap for me when I put it on Instagram. It's just another
yeah,
aspect of it they like. There's like that with lots of different topics where, like, somebody carving a mug or whatever. Like, I think that was, you said something about carving, didn't you? Or make,
I was struggling. I was just thinking of some obscure
yeah,
thing
well,
that someone
anything
might
like
be
that
into.
where you like, they actually like carving stuff, and they also
Yeah,
like the adulation they get when they post it. And with most topics, it's benign. I mean, I'd say with the vast majority of topics, it's benign. Like, if
correct.
you if
I,
you want to if you
I
want
agree.
to carve the mug and then have people clap for you about your mug, it doesn't.
Correct.
It's not damaging
Yeah,
to
that's right.
other people. But with hunting,
Yeah, that's right.
that impulse is damaging to other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it, yeah. Totally. It's just the, yeah. I just don't understand the, yeah.
I even do understand it.
I guess,
I have the impulse. Like,
I guess,
I started a thing on Instagram about my dog because people love my dog. She's this tiny little corgi, but she's really tough. And I started
right.
a little camp, like, Instagram thing with her and me out hunting, and we had grip and grins. And I started pimping out my corgi about 7, 8 years ago, and I it and I didn't quit doing that. I quit doing it. I mean, I was enjoying that. I was enjoying getting on there and seeing all the likes on my corgi and me out doing our stuff. So it's like, I understand the impulse to brag and display my lifestyle and get people to clap for me. I quit because I started to see that shit's just bad for, like, the other, like, people that are just want to go out and just have like a positive experience out hunting without, and they don't need the clapping. It's bad for
Yeah.
them. It's bad
Yeah.
for
Well,
them.
yeah, I guess at some point there's a decision, and some people go this way and some people go that way, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. There's an urge. at different levels, but there's definitely an urge that's somewhat understandable, albeit shit for what we do.
And
But
then
yeah,
just
I'm totally on board. I just like, and yeah, I just yeah, it's just a sad, it's just a sad state of affairs, and I think it's a culmination of, yeah, I think it's a culmination of like did COVID and that all that sort of 18 months, 2 year period, do you think that had a had a sort of a that compounded some of the issues, do you reckon, over there?
I don't know. That's what like the influencers will tell you, but it's hard to run the counterfactuals on that and say what things would be like if there had not been a
Yeah,
pandemic. One thing I can say for
yeah,
sure though is that the ability to engage in hunting in the best part of the country, best hunting region in the country, the Western U.S., had was already starting to plummet dramatically prior to 2020 when the
yeah,
pandemic hit. Between 2016 and 2020,
yeah,
the draw odds, average overall units for elk, deer, and elk, mule deer, and antelope had already declined precipitously before
yeah,
that. You know, hunting's just
yeah,
having a moment. Hunting's been having a
yeah,
moment here since about 215, 2015.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
you know, and it's become more about more like there's still people that enjoy it for the real, the pure reasons of food and communing with nature and engaging with nature, the natural world. But there's just more people now that because it's like popular and hip that are doing it for like external gratification.
yeah,
So you know, it's just like and to make money. I just think that anything that pushes us towards punches society towards hunting for um like external gratification and money is bad. It's just bad for people that do it for the traditional reasons. And it's like a primitive thing, man. The Jew Tuscanzi people and in in like Namibia and um and some other African countries in Western Africa, like they had very strong social mores about bragging about hunting accomplishments, as did Native American tribes and some in and Inuits. Like the Inuits believed that you bragged about a hunting accomplishment, the animals would stop. They thought that the animals gave themselves up to you. When you killed something, it was because it gave itself up to you, and they thought that
right,
the animals would stop giving themselves up to you if you
yeah,
bragged about it. And like the Jutaskansi, they had these elaborate rituals where they would even if somebody shot a nice big fat animal that was going to feed the tribe for a month, they would shame the hunter and say that the animal was skinny and not even worth packing out, you know, because they didn't want the hunter to get a big head because it was bad for egalitarianism. It would make that person think that hunter think that they were like the big cheese and and then that hunter would like go for a power grab and try to be like the chief, you know. So
okay,
it's like
yeah,
it's ancient shit. Like being humble about hunting is ancient shit. And then that's just also I don't think that like using dead animals to sell stuff. I don't think that's the right posture for a hunter. You know, I put it this, and I think people instinctively see that. Like we put this thing on our Insta. Do you follow us on Instagram?
don't even have it.
Oh, you don't even. Good for you, man. Um, I put this thing on Instagram yesterday or the day before, where this guy has this thing, like it's a picture of all his gear laid out on a blanket, including his rifle, like he's getting ready to target practice. And you can see his truck in the background, like he's getting ready to get prone, and he's not. There's no one even in the picture, but it's just all his stuff set up, like he's getting ready to practice. It says sheep hunt in T-7 days, and then he's got a hashtag on his ball cap that's laying there, on his rifle scope, on his backpack, on his rangefinder, he's got a hoodie laying there, and there's a hashtag on that. And that thing, on with our little following of 10,000 people, that thing got like 350 likes and a bunch of comments. People like, it's just they instinctively see that, and they really see it when there's a dead animal in the picture and there's all kinds of hashtags. That's just kind of,
Yeah,
it's just kind of disrespectful, man. You know?
yeah, but it's a funny one. So good mate of mine, one of the couple of guys that I hunt with and talk all manner of shit with, basically. He's got a good one. So he calls those type of people astronauts, right? Because it's
Oh,
like, have you noticed the thing of like how people, um, it's like people just get into it, right? So they come from knowing very little, if not nothing about it, right?
you're talking
And
about
then,
hunting when you say it?
yeah, hunting, right?
Okay.
Hunting, right? And then 5 minutes later, they've made it that complicated. It's almost like they've found this thing, and it's like the quicker they can complicate it, it's almost like they're showing off this amazing amount of knowledge and
Oh,
crap, right? And then it becomes back to your photo with all the hashtagging nonsense all over it, right? It's like it's almost like they found some sort of secret knowledge that they're letting everyone in on, and then it's like, oh, honestly, man, to hunt, guess what you need? You need, I think we talked about this last time. You need some shitty clothes that are okay to get dirty and wet, right?
yep.
You need some sort of weapon, and I don't give a shies and what, just some sort of freaking thing,
That
a
you're
gun or a
proficient
bloody
with. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then you need a little bit of time, right? And then you need to go where the animals are,
That's about
right?
it. That's about it.
And here's the
The
thing,
one
right?
thing I'd throw in for a backcountry hunter in my part of the world is you need a tent,
Right.
which
Okay,
is
great,
like,
right?
I don't think there's any. I know that I'm taking you away from your point, but I can't. I'll get right back to it real quick. But I can think of nothing more where the value is greater per dollar spent than a tent. Sometimes I imagine myself with being out where, like, when I'm getting ready for bed and it's pouring out or snowing, with all my stuff where exactly where it is and my sleeping bag exactly where it is, but there isn't this film of fabric over the top of me and what that would be like. And I'm like,
Sure.
this thing, this thing, like the value you get out of it is so dramatic. You know? So anyway, yeah.
No, but that's and that but that's what I'm saying. So there's these things, right?
Yeah.
And and here's the thing too, right? Like the rest of the shit comes with being a human. Like basically, if you have you have legs, right? And you have a brain that's smarter than just about every other friggin' animal. So don't making out like stalking. And I'm not saying this at all to sound like I'm better or arrogant or any crap like that, right? Stalking, you don't need to be taught how to stalk, right? It's not you just like no, I know it sounds honestly. You just freaking try to sneak up close to stuff,
Right. Now, I do
right?
think you
So
can
what?
get, I think you, okay, maybe not taught, but I do think you get better at it the more you try to do it.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
So then you get in the shitty old clothes a bit more, and then you go up to the place where the animals are a bit more, or even better, you freaking you sneak up on your sister or brother and spook them around the corner a few times, or you do it to like it's just being sneaky, right?
Right. Right.
Sneak, like stalking, stalking is sneakiness, right? And humans like really good at it, right? We're nimble and we've got really good eyesight and we've got a big brain and you can hide behind a tree,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So what I'm all this kind of crap that I'm saying, like it, my mate calls them astronauts because it's like they're now they hold this special knowledge and they can tell everyone, they can let everyone in all this shit. And you got to buy every damn thing under the sun, and you got to go to every freaking course that there is, and you got to listen to all these other people that know all this stuff. And it's like, no, man, all you need is good access to the animals. That's the fundamental thing. Like it's some of the shittiest, honestly, some of the I told you this, like you would know this too, right? You would absolutely know some of the shittiest shots of a gun or a bow that I know. Some of the some people that smoke and drink and they're not even healthy, right? These guys are some of the best hunters I know.
Really? That's interesting. Yeah.
Right? No, because guess what? They got some old shitty clothes, some old shitty shoes. They go a fair bit, and they've got access to where the animals are. Like they keep it real simple, right? Like and and they get shit, right? And then you've got the guys that are at the archery range and they're don't get me wrong, I know all about archery gear. I've had a heap of the shit, sold a lot of the shit, gone through more bows and just about, all that normal crap that you get into. But you got the guys that then, like I say, they're shooting these, little rifle groups like this at 700 meters and they're putting it on the net, and then they've got the special hat and the special brand of coffee and all the bullshit. And then they go out there, man, and then they shoot a friggin' deer at 47 meters with their rifle. But it's only because they had the freaking. But what I'm saying is, it's because they had a good place to go with plenty of animals.
Right.
Like, it's not that special. It's not that hard. It's just, it's like we said the other day. It's an outdoor activity, right? This is not something that is. You are blessed. Most of the shit you need is already in you because you were born, right? You're a human, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're into it like you are and like I am for very almost boyish reasons, I just like finding stuff. It's just cool, right? Like I just like going out,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely, that's the thing. It's like, holy shit,
So
I hiked all the way in here and there's some critters around in here. This is cool.
And I have I have gear from whoop-de-doo. I have a little bit of expensive special stuff that I could afford at the time. And then I have stuff at the other end of the spectrum, stuff that I bought, from the local hardware shop that just will make do with, right?
Yeah.
None of that occurs to me when I'm 50 meters from a deer.
Right.
Right? I
Right.
am looking at the deer, making sure the wind's right, and just freaking out how cool this is, right? And once in a blue moon, I get to 30 meters and I shoot it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm into. And I just need to let everyone know that thinks you need all this other shit. Like, it's not that the equipment and all the bullshit isn't cool, right? But it's not secret. It's not special. It's just about how big your wallet is, right? It doesn't, to be good at hunting, you just have to be keen, and you have to understand that you just need the freaking animals. You need the animals in front of you and the access to get to them. It's not anything that gets in the way of that is just fluff. It's fluff, and to say that someone that's spruiking all this shit is good, or sorry, they might not be a bad person, but is better than the guy that just keeps his head down. You're missing the point, man. It's yeah. So like I say, the astronaut thing comes up a bit. Occasionally I get a text message from my friend. He'll be like, "Hey, look at this astronaut," and it'll be someone that's been doing it for 5 minutes, and they'll have all the shit, and they'll have you'd swear these people have become a fucking sales rep for all these companies. It's like, what are you doing?
And I kind of feel sorry for people like that, because like, and I completely understand how you'd end up that way. if you stumbled upon this hunting thing, like, I don't know, however people stumble on hunting, like watch a hunting show, they stumble across the hunting show and it piques their interest and they start thinking about it and then they decide they're going to do it. They're getting all their information from people that peddle gadgetry. I mean, they're
Yeah.
getting all their information from people that peddle every little trinket under the sun. So, like, of course they're going to think they need all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to be pretty
Yeah.
smart to go like, just right out of the box. Here are all these people that are telling me that are the authorities on hunting that are saying what I need. You'd have to be a real individual thinker to be like, I think he's just selling that, I don't think I really need that. I think he's just trying to get me to buy more than I need. You're probably just going to buy into
Yeah.
a hook, line, and sinker and buy everything the person says you need to get.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, I don't know, that sort of stuff where it's just like take a photo of every damn moment in your life and then make out like it's some sort of you have to, I don't know, it's like a set. I don't know, man. It's bizarre. I can't. How much work do these people put into their social media? I can't believe the amount of work they put into it. Like,
Oh, I made a post yesterday that took me, I put a little video together. It took me 2.5 hours. Now, granted, if I made little videos like that more frequently, I could do it more quickly. But I can't imagine because this is just some hokey little video, you know?
right? Like they are putting some serious, and then I guess it again, it 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 it's that circle thing. And I guess they feel innately, if I'm putting this much friggin' effort into it, it needs to. I need to get something back out of it, and I guess that's money.
Yeah.
Or fame or whatever you want to call it. Like they maybe that's like it's like a vicious circle thing. If they
Yeah.
got into it for very amateur reasons and it ends up being something that they feel should pay them.
Yeah. 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 And then in addition to the work, just there's other costs. Do you know who John Dudley is?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, mate. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yep.
Old mate. What do you mean?
Oh, old mate. So that's like a saying, like how would I describe it? Do you guys have do you have something that um when you know or you know of someone but you don't know their name?
We'll say,
So when
what's his name? We'll say, what's his name
yeah,
or what?
yeah, but over here you might say well, I guess mate is like a version of it, but we have other things that we might call someone. You might call someone g'day knackers or g'day all different areas in Australia have like different terms that you might call. It's like a generic name for someone that you don't know. So they
Like,
might
hey,
be
chum,
in a
or
pub.
hey, buddy. Like we say, hey, like that.
Yeah, but imagine if it's more like less. We have like real specific like yeah, I don't know, but old mates like I guess it's like a tongue in cheek thing. It's like I mean, I don't say it for that reason. I say it's because of the habit, but a lot of people say old mate like say when you're talking to your friend and you go, you remember that guy that we saw that time at the mechanics? And he'll go, oh, yeah, old mate. And then you'll just get on with your conversation because you both realize you don't know his friggin' name.
Oh, okay.
But right. So it's like, do you know someone? And I was go, oh, yeah, old mate, meaning like, don't really know him, but I know who you're talking about. Can't remember his name, but who cares? Move on.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
So you do know who he
So
is.
yeah, he's not my mate. I've never met the bloke, never spoken
Yeah.
to the bloke, but yeah, I know who you're talking about.
So we just put this video out yesterday where we capped on him some, and like that means tease, like we, where he's sitting next to a deer that he's just shot, and he's talking about this new line of camo that this company is releasing, and how boy, this new camo is working flawlessly. you know? And like
Mhm.
we were talking about the work of making a video. I mean, that just exacts a cost. I just can't imagine how much that would detract from the enjoyment I get out of hunting to have to go like, oh, I just shot something. Better get out the frickin' phone and do a quick, you know, shout out to this company. That would
Yeah,
take me
yeah.
out of the process of hunting to such a strong degree that that wouldn't just be like um a minor interruption of the hunt to me. It would be hard for me to then go back to being immersed in like the hunt.
With yeah, without a doubt. I guess though, what about if it was, I guess for you and me, and like I say, I reckon the majority of other people, I think we'd feel the same way. But maybe for some people like that, it's not a big detraction. And for the younger age group, for the newer generation that have got their camera on hand at any given time, it maybe is just not that same inconvenience and same sort of almost like a muddying of the situation that it is for you and me. It might just be I
Yeah,
don't think,
okay, yeah.
and I
I
don't
just
think
it's so
I genuinely,
sacred to me. Like hunting is so sacred.
it is.
It just like that's, I'm gonna stop in the middle of the hunt and film an ad. I yeah,
I get it.
maybe that does it. Maybe people can go right back to their sacred experience after that. But to me, it's just
No,
like
yeah, and it's a happy medium, right? Because I also don't like the guys that act like it's some sort of. I understand when you say sacred, you don't. There's also, I mean, what I'm saying is, I like to still enjoy the moment, right? That still we might, you still might do some, you might just, I don't know, say some weird shit to your mate and carry on a little bit. I got nothing against that. I don't care. I kind of don't care how you react. It's more just when you're using it as almost a prime opportunity to then, yeah, like you say, make an ad.
oh,
It's
when I
kind of
say
like,
sacred act, I don't mean like I'm being all solemn and like
yeah, yeah. Because
reverential. Like
I love
I might still be cussing and joking around and whatever.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love the ones. You know what about the photos when you got the guy with his hand sort of on the dead thing and he's got his head down like he's saying a few words and it's like this. It's like he's kind of,
A
I don't know.
prayer, yeah.
Yeah, it's like he's in some moment of metamorphosis. It's like, what the hell is that? Like,
Yeah, if you're
like
really if this is so spiritual to you that you're saying a prayer or like meditating over the deer, then why do you have the camera going?
yeah, but no, but also, also, like you patty, like if you wanted to, you probably shouldn't have killed it. Like,
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
like
Yeah, if you feel that
it's like
strongly about it, why did you kill it?
yeah, like me and these mates of mine again. We say some things like, for instance, like when you get down to it, it like when you talk about like arrow archery, right? Like you're shooting a stick through the air, a sharpened stick, right?
Hmm.
And it's gonna rake through the chest of this thing, right? And cause it all kinds of issues till it dies. That's what it does, right? Like it runs, right? Right? Like, and that's what it is, right?
That's what it is. Yeah.
It's so basic and so prime evil or whatever the term is, right? But it is without a doubt. It's a ruthless, like it is a there's a human attraction to that violence, right? You can't deny. There is something so raw and not normal day to day that it's part of the experience, right? Like it's this unbelievable thing that we get to do that we just don't get to do or see very often anymore. That's a little bit of what makes it special, right? Like the the kind of like the way that we do it. I mean, if you went out there and just clicked your fingers and it just fell over in front of you, it wouldn't be the same, right?
Right.
So then, yeah, but then to like kneel down next to this thing that's almost been set up with like special lighting, and then you got your head down and you got your hand on it, and you're almost massaging it. It's like you just fucked it up. Like I get that you're not going to like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incongruous with what you just did to it to be like
Yeah. And then you finish, and then it's almost like you finish it off with, oh, by the way, brought to you by blah blah blah. It's like, what? What the fuck? Like, there's no,
that is hilarious. Yeah.
there's no catch and release, right? It's, yeah, you just fucking ended it, man. So anyway, it's just a funny thing. I look in tying it up. I honestly think that a lot of your main media type, so that includes your TV through to your internety type social media stuff. I really don't think they understand the amount of, should I say, harm, the amount of harm that they can and are doing. I don't think they understand it.
Yeah, I'm
I don't
open
think
to
they
that.
see. I don't think they see the amount of this, because you and I are on the complete other end, right? So
Right.
so we're not even close to them. Do you know what I mean? It's something that, for instance, I would love for someone that was in that situation to have to then trade their season for my season, or bad situation because we don't have seasons here, but like trade it for a Joe Blow guy over there with none of the leg ups that guy has. So he has to almost live a season in that guy's shoes.
Yeah.
And also, funnily enough, not get to document it by videos. He has to just go off the net and do a season in that guy's
over the
shoes.
counter tag, can't document it in any way.
And that's the key, right? Because the first thing they would do is go, oh, that's actually a shit hot idea. I'm going to film it all and then do this like hunting like the people hunt sort of bullshit. No. The whole reason we're doing this is also that you can't film it. You have to go incognito
right
for 2 months, right?
Yeah.
And you have to use,
and you can never report on it. You can never report on what happened.
You have to use that guy's car. You have to use that guy's job commitments. You have to use that guy's whatever, right? You have to use that guy's lack of access. No, you can't use any of the contacts you've made through this bullshit, right?
Uh-huh.
And then the only video document you can do is not even the day after it finishes. You have to then wait another month until after it finishes, and then do a video document on how it went and what you thought of it.
Oh,
I'd love to see that. Right?
Oh, but then they still get the reward at the end. Like if they actually did harvest something, they could be like, I did it, I grinded it out like the other half does and was able to get it done.
Okay, but if they want to take, if that's what they want to say about it, you can't help that, right? Like that's just who they are, right? But what I'm saying is, deep down, it's going to scar them, right? They don't want to go back to that shit.
Yeah, right. I mean, yes.
They're not doing that again. Fuck that. Next season, man. Next season, they're
going to. No, that's. And but here's the thing, Rory. I've said this so many times, but like, I would be bummed if I had to trade and go do their way.
Yeah, but you don't.
It doesn't interest me.
No. I get that. But I'm saying it's not. Yeah, but I totally get that. But what I'm saying is it's all about them. Like it's only about them seeing this. It's not about you having.
Right.
Yeah. God forbid, man. Imagine your ugly face doing their shit. Wouldn't sell a thing.
No, hell no.
So you'd be there spruiking off some knife that's apparently sharper than the next knife, which makes no sense. Yeah, Yeah, you'd have to sell that shit. You're going to go fuck this. The sponsors are going to drop you real quick, Mac.
Oh, no, but okay, yeah, that. If I had to do all the bullshit and promotion and all that stuff, then I would really hate it. But what I'm saying is, let's say I could go to
A special place.
like a ranch where
Yeah.
you buy a outfitter sponsored tag, it's $20,000 and somebody just bought it for me and I didn't have to film anything. Nobody would even know. I just go do it. I wouldn't want to do it.
Okay.
It's not why I hunt. It's a bought canned experience.
But okay, but that's
I
pretty
want to
unique
go
because
I want to go in the off season and do a bunch of walking around, take my some weekends and time and do a bunch of walking around in the mountains and prairies and find little secret spots where there's good numbers of animals that are nobody knows about. And then go in there during hunting season, those same spots and see if I can get one. That's what it's about to me.
yeah,
I don't want to, it's like the stuff like that where you go to the high end paid hunting ranch. It's like, hey, I'm going to go to the hunting place. Here, I'm at the hunting place. I'll pay the money and then I go. It's like going golfing or going to the amusement park. I'm at the golf place. I'm going to pay to go do the activity now that I'm at the golf place. I don't want to go to
yeah.
the hunting place.
I've done one um paid hunt, I guess, and it was like, to be fair, it wasn't you weren't it was no different. If you could have had access to the farm next door, the experience would have been just as good. Like it was almost like a um you come to the best farm and have a crack. But it wasn't like, yeah, it wasn't. I know what you're saying. You're saying that it's so isolated and so superior. It's like it's not high fence, but it is so different to the experience somewhere else that it's not even the same experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to earn my good hunt. I want to earn my success,
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
And,
I get it. I just think it would be interesting for all those characters to,
yeah,
but
sure. And a lot
the
of them
critical
started
stuff.
out that way, you know? Like
Sure, but the
my
critical part
brother
is
started out that way and Cam Haynes started out that way. You know, a lot
yeah,
of
the
these
critical
guys,
thing is they're not allowed to document it. They can't get any reward other than the experience itself, right? Which is what
right.
you and I are doing it for, right? So um they have to be able to go to with all these things working against them and not get anything and come home and still feel satisfied,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is what we do, right?
Yeah.
Which is what most people, that's what
Yeah.
most people do, right? Most people, it's yeah, it's not a given. It's so far the other way that it's you're doing it for the sake of doing it, for the enjoyment of doing it. And if you get something and you get close enough to something, you spear it with whatever you're using and you get to eat it or keep a bit of it or whatever you want to do with it, that's just unreal. But that is 1 out of every 10,
Right.
right? Most of the time, you're just going for the hope of it. You're going for the experience and all the bullshit. And you're definitely not going there to sell anything. You're not going there to document it. You're not there to get anything out of it other than you're going. And then guess what? You're coming back to work and all the bullshit of life.
Yeah. To be fair, I think there's a lot of some of these hunting celebrities, I think, well, they do hunting where they just are off the grid, you know, a little bit. Like my brother and Giannis Patelis, guy works with him. Like Giannis Patelis, I remember him telling me a decade ago. He said, "Boy, your brother and I talk about all the time how we can't wait till the day we can hunt without a camera behind us." Like those guys like actually like the activity, you know? It's just they don't get to do it in that legit way anymore because they made it into a job. This shouldn't
Do you
be a
think?
job.
Okay,
It shouldn't be a job.
no, this is earlier in the conversation you were saying about, like, I know you can't restrict it, but like, yeah, it shouldn't be a job. That's the thing. That's the only way to make it. And then how the fuck, how do you do that? You can't, you know what I mean? Like, maybe they've just, it's almost like finding a job that you don't really like it, but you're really good at it. And so you stick it out for your career.
It's
You know,
it's
maybe they've,
it's lucrative, and you get a lot of people thinking that you're the shit. You know, so there's all this fringe stuff. It's fringe
oh, I
benefits.
can't,
It's
yeah, I can't even imagine some of the opportunities that are gained.
oh, in terms of like getting to go on private ranches and stuff like that. These guys have so many fanboys. I call them loafs,
Yeah.
land owning fans. That's what a loaf, a land owning fan. You know,
So they actually have, so they have land. So, yeah, right. So it's not just, so even the people that own places have them
our
come out.
our fans, yeah, and they'll
Yeah,
have
right. Yeah. See, that would never happen here. Never ever happen here. Right.
oh,
The people that have the land here, like a large majority of them, couldn't give a flying shit about the. They're in the same boat as the authorities, man. They want the shit gone. They don't, you know. So you would never get it. Would not never. It would be a tiny amount of landowners here that even would care about hunters. Like, as
uh-huh.
in, they have hunters on their place, and they're just a guy that they let on the hunt. But most of them wouldn't know a shit about, these, special hunters and stuff. That, yeah. So yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah,
It's hard to. It's a tough thing, man. I just think there's just too many people. There's just too many humans in these areas, and we're just going, like you said before, it's just going through a bit of a thing. It'll be interesting to see if it comes out the other side. Hey.
um, well, okay. The one constant is change, I believe.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that that hunting is not going to look 10 years from now the way it looks right now. You know, so it is
No.
interesting to see which way, to see how it's going to go. I mean, I've only seen it get worse. When I say worse, I mean, I've only seen it become harder and harder for people to have a quality experience without paying for it. You know,
Yeah.
over since I was 12 years old. So over the last 40
Yeah.
years. So does one of two things could happen. It could become so shitty that we just abandon what are now the mainstream perspectives and really try to do something fundamentally different to save quality hunting and restore it, or it just continues to go to shit. And I'm very interested to see which it's going to be, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
do you got to go,
So,
or can we talk about this de-influencer trend for a minute?
yeah, no, go for it, man. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Because you said some interesting things about it. I wish I had your email up, but I asked two people. I asked you about like wanting to talk about the de-influencing, this trend that's taken place in the social media space over the last few years, and you kind of threw shade at it. And then another guy that I work with a fair bit threw shade on it. He was like, these people, they're just influencing people to do something different, so they're influencers too, you know. And he said they're just trying to draw attention to themselves in another way. I can't remember what's like you kind of. I guess before we get too far into this, I should say what it is first for the listening audience. If you haven't heard about this, there's this thing called de-influencing that you'll see on TikTok, especially TikTok, but on other platforms, where it's in it's typically women, and instead of doing what most influencers do, which is try to get you to buy their products, the products that they peddle, they're trying to get you to not buy stuff. It's like a lot of cosmetics and home products like coffee makers and stuff like that. Like gadgets. Like I just saw this woman do this hilarious video on TikTok where she was trying to talk people out of buying these things that convert a AAA battery into a double A battery. Like there's this little case that you can put over a AAA battery to turn it into a double A battery. And she's like, why would anybody ever? So they just go, they make all these videos about shit that like trying to encourage you to not buy stuff that's unnecessary. And, and they, and it's not just to save you money. Oh, Botox. There's a lot of de-influencing about Botox these days. But they also, some of them, their motivation is not just like as a community service to try to prevent people from spending money on bullshit they don't need, but it's also from an environmental standpoint. Like them, mass consumerism is just bad for like generating trash, like we were talking about earlier, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Okay, so what's interesting to me about this, and like it's a big thing. I read this article on the NPR website, National Public Radio website, was talking about like if you search hashtag de-influencing, there's 1.5 billion posts on it now on TikTok. It's like a big trend. And it just seems to me that it's indicative of a tremor in the force. That there's a segment of society that is becoming weary of having their expenditures directed by like quote unquote authorities. And I just wonder, like we're talking about, things change. The only constant is change. Could it be that people become eye-rolly about hunters that peddle products? Like, oh, here's another guy doing the thing where he's trying to sell me a bunch of bullshit. Because he thinks that then he's trying to say that I need it to be successful. And the only reason he's successful is because he doesn't tell you about it, but is because the hunting industry bought him like a canned experience. So he's acting like selling products like, oh, you want to be successful, you got to have this blah, 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 blah. But it's like, no, dude, the only reason you're successful is because somebody bought you a hunt. Like is this a tremor in the force? Like, could this permeate hunting culture?
I think a couple of things. Like, I think that, well, I think it's on the, what do you call them? Hunting celebrities or whatever the term is you're using. I think they're already finding ways to try and avoid that, right? Hence all the, that they'll come out and say, oh, it's about the meat, and then they'll go off and do some barbecue recipe. And like they make sure that they're ahead of just purely killing animals to film it to make the money. That they broaden their reasons, and they make sure that they have that big time as part of their the display. You know what I mean? They don't just stick to, because what I'm saying is I think the old whack 'em and stack 'em types, I think they fell victim to the first round of this, which is people went, yeah, man, that's not really that good. And it's almost a hollow thing. You're just belting stuff and you're shooting them in places where they're so plentiful. You're just whacking them, and we don't need to see that shit anymore. So I think that the next round of your influencers and your hunting celebrities are absolutely onto that. They know they can't afford to just go down that very basic and simple path, right? So so them themselves.
You're saying they have to obscure the fact that they're trying to sell stuff a little bit?
No, I think I think they're creative, and I think I think they themselves latched onto shitting on the older style of media. You see it all the
Oh
time.
yeah. Okay. So we're
You know,
talking about two different things here. You're talking about like now you, you it has to seem more like a real hunt now for people to tune in. They don't want to see people hunting over a deer feeder.
yeah, but they don't. Yeah, but yeah. So they've widened their public portfolio, if you like, right? So they're trying to. So what I'm saying is they got on the back of, I think, the first round of de-influencing, if you like, which was shitting on the old style.
Okay.
And but what they've done sneakily is gone, this is how it should be done, right? And then your de-influencing itself is, like I said in the email, I think that notion of what you're saying of poo-pooing this stuff, I think it's massively out there already. I think like I said at the very start of the conversation, I think the amount of people that you're talking to, you're preaching to the choir, man. Like there's so many people that think and feel like you do, and like I do, and like I say, all these other people do. It's not a small amount of people. It's a
Okay.
large percentage of the population. The thing that's difficult and the thing that's tricky with the de-influencing that you're talking about is, and I think I might have said this in some of the emails, is in a way the greatest de-influencer is someone that's not even online, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but it's
So the
like
problem is,
I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm like these people in that these de-influencer women in the sense that I am
I agree.
online, like because I'm like they're trying to do something positive. I think they're like concerned about people spending money unnecessarily and like
Yeah,
getting addicted to shopping and
yeah,
and and just contributing to this mass consumerism. So they're like trying to
yeah,
use the tools that are available, and the tools are social
yeah,
media to
yeah.
combat it. But yeah, you're there's so yeah, there's a
I, 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 I get what you're saying. I think I said this to you a while ago in that it's that necessary evil. You need to have some sort of a voice in these spaces to actually get your word out there. I get it, right? It's a necessary
right.
evil,
Yeah.
but ultimately, if you've got people like me that are the big supporters of the same notions and same thought processes that have just completely opted out, we're of no use, right? Like this, it's like the old silent majority problem, right? You end up with as you end up having all the support not present.
Right, not even and not in the conversation. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so really, it's a double prong thing. This de-influencer thing, it's a double prong. You need imagine if everyone like me, whether it's an age group thing, a generational thing, or just a experience based thing. Imagine if we were all online, right, and
Uh-huh.
took time out of our day. Um, I mean, it goes almost against the very notion of the reason that we're not online. But my point is, if we were online, it would be a much more significant force out there,
Right.
right?
Right.
You'd have a lot more voices, and you'd have a lot more. It would be, look. At the end of the day, the only reason this stuff is all about being visible, right? You got to be you got to have a camera in front of you, and you got to be willing to put yourself out there, and you got to be loud and keen, right? You got to cause a fuss, right? You got to
Mm-hmm.
get some people watching your shit, right? You've got to motivate people that have no interest whatsoever in any of those things to do it, right? Like it's a the very re- I think hunters by nature, a lot of them anyway, are private, are secretive,
No, you
are
yeah.
right. So you've got a shitty situation here that the essence of the sport, the majority of people that you're talking about, and you're one of very few, that can almost have a split brain, right? You've got the ability to be online and to deal with that crap and put the energy and the enthusiasm into doing what you do with but also with the ability to turn yourself off and go back to your roots, if you like, right?
Yep. That
And
makes
also be
sense.
okay with and also be okay with deriving $0 from it, right?
Yeah.
So that that's the thing. How do you are these? My question for a de-influencer is: Are you getting money from de-influencing?
Oh, I don't think that these people are. I
Or
don't
what
see
about if they're
how
getting
that's.
paid by YouTube?
What's that?
What about if they're getting paid by the platforms that they're
Oh,
posting
yeah,
on?
I don't know about that. I
Because
don't
what
know.
because what about if you go down the whole, the old saying, the old any publicity is good publicity type thing, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like just getting yourself out there as often and as much as you can is going to cause potential. Like, is there ad revenue? Is there ads during these de-influencer videos? Is my point, or one way
Yeah,
of looking at it.
yeah. Well, I don't know. When I look at, I don't see how. I don't see it. I spent like an hour looking at TikTok videos today from these women, and I didn't
Yeah,
see anything that. How would they? I didn't see how there could be revenue generation. I wasn't fed any ads when I was watching these people. They weren't saying buy this less expensive version, and maybe the less expensive version is something from a company that sponsors them or something. They were just saying you don't need this bullshit. So I don't know. I'm of the opinion there are a lot of good people in the world that are trying to do the right thing. And I'm
yeah.
just open to the idea that these women are like, I used to be duped by these fashion models that were trying to get me to buy, were successful in getting me to buy all this BS. And I now realize it's not it's not a productive use of my money, and I'm gonna
Uh,
speak out against it.
yeah, I
I
mean,
don't.
as a thought experiment, I remember talking to you a while ago about having a voice out there that's not like, what I'm saying is, imagine if you could think of one of the people that's a bit of a pet peeve of yours, right?
Uh huh.
And don't it's not important who
It's
this
not
is. It's just a thought.
important. Yeah.
But imagine if you could get them to turn, like, imagine if they were a turncoat, right? Imagine if somehow we go, okay, mate, whatever, woman, doesn't matter. Tell us exactly how much you earn. Like, what are you getting paid? Like, how are you, whatever you're getting out of this, we can match that, right?
Uh
We'll
huh.
match that plus $1, right? And then what you have to do tomorrow is go on and go 180 degrees the other way with all your bullshit, right?
Uh
So
huh.
you're still getting the same monetary result. And all of a sudden, guys like myself and all this, like I say, I still reckon silent majority, we're all going to fill the void and start doing the likes thing. So you still get your money, you still get your ego boost because you still got the same amount of people clicking on your shit, right?
Uh huh.
But the word that you're putting out there now is this stuff. It's not the get more people in and blah 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 blah.
Right.
It's
Right.
actually, or that would be the greatest de-influencer that we could have, because they have the platform. Yeah, they lose all their sponsors tomorrow, but all of a sudden, everyone that's been watching them, the very next video they see is almost like a holy what the, like, I don't think from the ground up, someone like yourself, for instance, how are you ever going to be able to match one of these cats? Like, doing the de-influencer style thing. They've created such a big, you know what I mean? You'd have to quit everything you do. You'd have to somehow find a way of deriving an income de-influencing. You know what I mean?
Oh, I don't know. There's just sometimes there's like revolutions in societies. We're just things just get it just becomes um gradually becomes so obvious that something's bad that society changes course and does something different, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. I look, maybe that's when the wave breaks and we start going the other direction, I guess. But it's just while it's here and while it's active, it sucks, doesn't it, man? Like
Yeah,
living through this crap is just, and that's the painful and somewhat selfish take on it. Like I hope that hunting's around for my kids, but I still want to get. I've still got a little bit more to do. I hope, and I just don't want it to be riddled away. It just seems to happen so quickly too. That's one of the things that's hardest to take. It's not like it's just it's just a massive thing right now.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
look, I hope like maybe the de-influencer thing is gonna. It's just hard to you get painted as a negative Nelly so quickly.
Oh, I
You're
know.
not.
To me, it's just it's a, well, okay. What you said that's interesting is like, dude, you said, dude, a silent majority of people are already on board with what you're saying. That this, like, hey, look at me, mass consumerism bullshit is just that. It's bullshit. So it's like, in your way of thinking, that there are people online saying it, you know, like
Hmm.
that's not that dramatic to you. Um, and that makes sense, but it's still at the same time, I'm like, what it would take what it would take in hunting to have it be um more the way that it should be, more quiet, humble, hunters looking out for other hunters, us working on access, the hunting industry working on access instead of destroying it, all the things I rail on, would take people, it would take people being vocal on social media to make that happen. So like this,
Yeah.
it can't be just, people thinking it, but that aren't online. Because,
Correct. Right.
right, like you're saying, so it's a little bit of evidence to me that, maybe there could be some kind of backlash against all this BS, you know, where there are
Yeah.
people that stand up and say enough is enough. I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
and to your points,
It's
like, you look at the most widely followed people online in the hunting sphere. They'll have, like, Cam Hanes. He's got 1.8 million followers. Now, probably 800,000 of those people don't even hunt. So now let's say a million of them do. He's only captured one in 15 hunters. You know,
right.
one of 15 hunters are paying attention to him. To your silent
Right.
majority point.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 It, yeah, it baffles me that there's even that many.
Yeah.
Like it's look. You probably need to fight it on both fronts. You probably need people out there that have an equally big voice to get people to see things a little bit. I don't want to say clearer because it's clear for them, but maybe see things this way a little bit more. But like I said to you, I think a lot of it's financial. Like they've got to if they didn't have the income and the trappings that it provides, they wouldn't be doing it. It's a pain
No,
in the
no,
ass.
no, 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 no.
If,
Like,
if, if, if we could provide, if the state of Montana, and this is I mean, this shows you how deep rooted. I don't want any of this shit out there, right? But if the state of Montana could fund people to be in these positions, but somehow be just as popular and tell people to piss off, that'd be unreal. You know,
Oh,
like they
you're
still get the
saying
same.
you're saying if the state of Montana uh said, "Hey, you're a big time hunting influencer. If we compensated you, you'd make just as money as you're making much money as you're making right now, but you would come out against shooting 5 elk a year and putting
Yeah,
them on social media. You're gonna make just as much money now, but instead of using hashtags to
yep,
hashtagging gear to sell products, you're gonna talk about how that's disrespectful to wildlife. Um,
yeah. You'd be hashtag the first Monday of November when there's a bloody court hearing, and all of a sudden we'll get 5,000 people turn up thinking it's cool to be in court, and you'll actually get some results. You know what I mean? Like the hashtag isn't hashtag ammo brand. It's hashtag bloody, I don't know.
vote for the
Ever
new
we
conservation easement or something like that.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, yeah. I mean it's got to compensate. These people are being it's their job and they love it and they're good at it and they're creative and it gives. There's a lot of people like me that work jobs just to have a job. I just work a job, right?
Uh huh.
It's not very creative. It's not anything. It's
You're
I'm
paying the bills.
appreciative of it. I'm appreciative of having it, right? And I do it well, I think, and all those things. But it's not something that just out of the middle of me just is this wealth of just enjoyment and right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these people have been fortunate that they do, right? They've found something. One of those ultimate life dreams is find something you really like and are good at and pays you, right? So yeah, I mean, it would just be cool to be able to compensate them financially and ego stroke them just the same as now, but just totally,
But having to be on the
totally
opposite end of the spectrum. Yeah.
message. It's the message that's killing it. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like I say, yeah, how do you get I think it's happening, mate. I think there's a lot of people out there that see straight through it. It it's
Yeah.
it's it's a it's just like I say. I think I said at the start, they've they've been fortunate. They've farmed their own audience.
Oh,
Guys
right.
like you and me,
Right.
guys like
They've
you and me are
create they've
create
created the people.
create
Yeah.
a
They've
hundred
created
percent.
their supporters. They've created the people that support them. Yeah.
Think about, like you said, think like those 800,000 people that are following the Cam Haines fella that aren't really hunting. Like, what's that about?
Well,
You know what
they
I mean?
a
Like,
lot a lot of people follow him because they like to watch him work out and jog.
but that's my point. That's what I'm saying though. Like, it's not. It's the messaging. It's that they've taken the hunting thing. They're not talking. They're not even talking to. They're smart enough and big enough. They're not talking to you and me, just hunters.
Right. Right.
They're talking to anyone that'll friggin' listen, right? Now every 10th one of them will take up hunting, which is the exact reason for what you're doing, right? Is that there's more and more hunters, right? But they've farmed their own audience.
Yeah.
They've created amazing self they're reaping all the rewards of the audience that they've. It's like a really famous band like Pearl Jam weren't selling tickets when they were really big to people that hated Pearl Jam. Like, they created their own audience and it just grew and grew and grew. And then they were mega and they were selling and making shitloads of money, right? Like, Cam Haines has no doubt worked his ass off to create his audience, right? And they just now fund his life.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so he's not
I don't know.
he's not
There's
getting a dollar out of me. He's not getting a dollar out of you.
no. But I just yes, that's all true, and like and it's very true that we're up against if we want to change the culture around hunting, um, it's a huge uphill battle. But there's just some hard and fast facts that are really hard to dispute. One of them
Yeah.
being that people like him are bad for grassroots hunting people. Like they're bad for workaday hunters. So it's like that's worth saying to me. It's worth
I
saying that these people that are idolized as the ambassadors of hunting, I think it's just worth saying that their presence is deleterious to workaday hunters. I think that's worth saying. And it's not like all I'm doing is just focused on hunting celebrities. I also think that the orgs have betrayed us, the
yeah.
conservation
But
orgs, and so
but don't you think
you could be offline. You could be offline, like not be tuned into social media and still be receptive to that message. Like,
do you think do you think though that that an actual powerful and positive for the message that we sort of share, do you think that, and I'm not saying this will or could ever necessarily happen. I'd like to think it could, but it's a you'd have to take the risk, right? It would just be interesting. I mean, imagine if you could sit down like I kind of forego. I get and agree with what you're saying, right? But don't you think that when Cam Haines started hunting, it's a friggin' good chance, man, that he started hunting for the exact same reasons that we hunt, right?
I read his first book, and I got from that book that he absolutely started for the same reasons you and I did.
Right. So my point is, right, don't you think it'd be cool if all the strings and bullshit could be cut from what he might have to say or have to stay silent on? It'd just be, I can't see how it wouldn't be great to have a series of interviews. Again, I'm not saying this is ever going to happen, right? But it would just um be so cleansing in a way to just see what these people really think.
I've
Like I'd
tried
love
interviewing a lot. I've interviewed several of these people.
I,
Like,
I've I've heard quite a few. I heard your stuff with Randy Newberg, especially. The thing is too, you're not dealing with nuffies, right? Like he's a smart cat, yeah. Like he's a
oh
well
yeah,
thought.
yeah, yeah. I don't believe.
So,
Okay, so with him and I I um also interviewed Jim Shockey. I also
okay,
I have also interviewed Aaron Snyder. The struggle I have is I don't believe that they are saying what they believe in those
no, but that's my
conversations.
point, though. That's my point. Like, wouldn't it be so refreshing if you could almost both take your gloves off, right, and say, "Hey, we're not going to whack each other in the face here," and just sit back and go, basically, just go, "What the fuck is the deal? Like, what's the go? Like, what is the plan? What is honestly what I'm saying is you almost want Cam Haines in a room at age 92, right?
Yeah.
When he considers himself done. I mean, at 92, he's probably still going to be fitter than you or I. But the point is that you get him a moment before he's done, and you say, right, all the sponsors are gone, all the bullshit's gone. Can you please, like, honestly give us your take on things? Because
Yeah.
that's the because if it just a peek behind the curtain, I like you talked about what your brother and that Yanni fella might say off camera. It's a shame that they can't make that profitable for themselves. I hate to use profit because but it's just going to be in there, man. Profit.
Right. Oh yeah. No one's gonna say anything that goes against their livelihood. So it's
No, but I'm saying, imagine if they were comfortable enough and able to actually say that shit on camera. Now we're talking about a different creature, right? Now we're talking about people that still can derive an income and gratitude and get their ego stroked, but they're actually able to say some real shit. Some like It would just be unique, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think these people are bad people, right? I think what they are doing in a lot of ways is bad. And it's to the extent that they understand that, are they doing it despite the damage they're doing? Well, that's one thing. And that'd be good to have on camera because then, well, that'd be like, example A of shit, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it, it'd just be awesome to go, they are, imagine if they turn around and said, we're totally on board. We've made enough money, right? We're,
Right.
we're
One
big
like
enough. With,
yeah, some of these people once their bread is sufficiently buttered and they're heading towards retirement, maybe they'll go, you're right. The over the arc of my career, due to me, I've left hunting in a worse position than it would be had I never come along.
yeah, or here, without all the typical bullshit and sayings, they honestly say that no, like what I'm saying is, I'm open to them saying to me, they've done more good than harm. Like
Right.
I just want to,
They might honestly believe that. But it's
but
just,
it's
I don't
but
know.
if they
From
want,
my perspective, it's like, it's so laughable to think.
no, I get it. But what I'm saying is, it would just be so refreshing. In back to your de-influencer sort of thing. Like there are people now that are making hay, so to speak, making money out of more of a trying to be real about things type thing, right? They're not going down the straight up sell you, sell you, sell. They're selling stuff based on almost them coming across as a good and normal person, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have all the same failings that you and I do, right? There's many examples of this now, right? There's people going, you know what? I'm sick of the whole makeup and bullshit. I'm just going to keep it real, and they become incredibly popular doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it would be so refreshing if someone like your brother or whatever could get to a point where they could actually then be more like that, swear and carry on and fart and do all the bullshit that we do, right? Normal people. If they could derive enough of a living out of it and again have the ego stroked to the same amount and just be real about it, I wonder what effect that would have on people. Almost to burst the bubble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would just be yeah, I think they're so tied in with sponsors and money and having to get stuff on film that they just can't. But it would just be, I think
Yeah.
that's the only way we get back from.
People crave authenticity. And, I think that's what made Meat Eater so successful is early on. They were
I
just,
agree.
they were just who they were, you know. Now,
Yeah.
now that over time where it's become like more and more difficult to argue that there's not downsides to what they're doing, now they aren't just being who they are. They have to like ignore that part of the conversation. They
Yeah, but
they
that's my
you'll
point though.
never
Why,
hear
why do you
them.
say they have to?
Oh, good. Like, well, if they started saying, "Boy, making hunting TV sure is bad for hunting," how do they then the next day go make a hunting show?
No, but yeah, but what I'm saying is they've made a conscious effort. You're saying at the start their authenticity was what made them unique and made it a worthwhile and therefore profitable thing for them to create, right?
Yes.
At what point, at what point do you think they've stepped away from that? And the answer is to keep people that pay the bills happy, right?
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah. Yeah.
what I'm saying is why? Like, couldn't they find, wasn't there enough opportunities to get paid through means other than that, is my point. Like if there was a way that they could get paid, like I wonder how
They'd
much of
be
a hit
saying,
they'd
so
have to
if you're
take.
wondering, would they be? Let's say, if you're saying, would some of these hunting celebrities be saying different things if there were no? if there were no financial repercussions from saying exactly what they want to say, would they say different
Right.
things? I think they'd say vastly different things. I think they're
Right.
absolutely constrained. I don't think that they like I don't think they represent what they truly believe on camera or in podcasts. I don't think that they're saying what they're like acting, because
So what?
I
Yeah.
don't
So
believe
what
that
I'm
they
saying is,
believe what they're saying. Like that's
so
why
how much of a
that's
yeah.
why I've stopped interviewing hunting celebrities, is because I routinely feel in those conversations like I'm talking to somebody that's representing a set of ideas that they themselves do not believe.
Yeah, but I wonder how much of a financial hit they'd have to take. Let's say let's say they're earning. I'm not going to talk dollars here, money, but I wonder if they could creep back 15% from what they're earning or 20% from what they're earning and still earn a good living, right? Better
Mm-hmm.
than better than old mate down the coal mine that's bloody, trying to get a hunt in twice a year, right? I
Yeah.
wonder if they could still I wonder if they could still be very comfortable and just have some of those freedoms back.
Yeah, and
Like,
and, and I and you could be right. Like they take tough stances on stuff, on some like
because it's the
they
authenticity bit
take some
I'm after,
stances.
right?
They take some stances that are going to cost them some viewership. Like they start to come out and
Right.
say, "Man, leasing up more
Yep.
land than you need to fill your tag is really not helping us, folks. We should really try to
Yeah.
consider not doing that, or whatever it is, or whatever kind of tough stances." And they lose a little bit of their followership, maybe make a little bit less money, but they're more pointing at the real issues facing hunting. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't see any of that happening. I just see them become more and more sellouts. Like
But that's that, but
like
that's
like
that's
like
yes,
I
yes.
see them compromise themselves more and more. My when Meteor first started, they were like a backcountry, hard hitting hike way in, off the grid, keep it simple, sleeping in tents. Now they do most of their hunting on private land, and they sell quad runners. They were like
Yeah.
the off-road backcountry hunter guys, and now they sell side by sides.
Yeah.
So I just don't. It
Yeah.
seems like all these people are just doubling down. Like they're moving further into the realm of shit that they would have at the outset thought was ridiculous. Like,
Yeah. No, no, I agree. So that's what I'm saying. I think that it'd be great. It'd be just great to have some sort of way to financially sort of compensate for them to not have to be like that. Like it
yeah,
might for the sake of hunting and the hunting industry, we need them to sell out less, right? So we need to come up with a way. It'd just be cool to come up with a way to be able to compensate the main 10 voices out there that are in this scene, um, to have to do that less. Like they should be aligning themselves with brands that don't require them to constrain. There are plenty of brands right now that really go after the influencers that do give them a really thorough and honest review slash promotion. They're not after just the cheesy, use this gun. It kills better than the next one,
right,
right?
right,
They're
right.
after they want some real proper, no fluff, tell us if things are shit type. And that's where you get your authenticity and your sales from that authenticity. So I'm just surprised that the authenticity that once made someone who they were, not in a I understand the de-evolution of sliding more and more towards being just a bit of a sellout. I'm saying that it's funny that they didn't, when you say like I'm saying that it's funny they didn't double down on their authenticity and stick with that as their main revenue raising attribute. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
Like
think when you get
it's just
investors involved, it's just
right,
everything becomes calibrated to making money. Like that's what you're
right.
it's like I let's not make waves, let's not say anything that's going to interrupt the revenue stream. Everything is calibrated towards revenue
Yeah,
generation. So everything just gets more and more watered down. Like you ever see that show, that movie Wayne's World?
yeah,
Like that, it just becomes like it starts
yeah,
out as this brash thing and
yeah.
this real homeboy like show, and then they they get they go with some big production company and it's just not cool anymore, you know. It's like the
No,
American
it's a
story. It's a quintessential American story.
I I need to get a way of, and this is again not for my own gain of whatever, but I need to somehow get like an undercover. You need to get me some sort of like um I need to get some, you know that movie, was it Catch Me If You Can, Leonardo DiCaprio, and he was like this con artist sort of dude.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, so basically he goes through his whole life pretending that he's things that he isn't, and just keeps, like, he just kills it, right? Like, he at one stage he's a pilot, but he's not a pilot, and all this shit, right?
Uh-huh.
I need to get some way of being able to infiltrate as a cameraman some of these some of these setups, some of these shows that we're talking about. I just want to see what's on the other side is my point, right? Like, I
You want
want
to
to be
peek
there.
behind the curtain.
I don't want
Yeah.
to be on the camera. I don't. I'll pay my way. I'll fly to the freaking Yukon and meet your brother or Cam Haynes or one of these fellas or whatever it is. And I just want to hear him when the camera gets turned off. I want to hear him farting in the tent and swearing and saying, you know, fucking people up the road camping in my spot. I want him to hear him say all the same shit that we say,
Yeah. Yeah.
but then do a Louis Theroux on him and film that shit and and um and say, yeah, it's funny. It's not. I think the wool's being pulled over so many people. This farming of the audience thing, they are willingly, they don't want to know that this is bullshit,
Oh
right?
yeah. I've
And so,
so I've been on my brother's show enough to know that they they lie for sure. Like I know of several instances where they've just egregiously misrepresented what happened. Like
yeah,
like dramatically, like wounding an animal with one weapon and then going out and wounding an animal. There's one episode where they wound an animal with a bow, don't recover it, go shoot another one with a gun, and then pretend that's the one they shot with the bow. And if my brother and his crew, who have more integrity than the rest of these jobbots, for sure. My brother's scores and his group are score high, relatively speaking, on the integrity axis. But if they're capable of lying to people that way, I can only imagine how bad these other guys are. Um, I
yeah.
mean,
And look,
I've
me
heard
personally, I'm
so
not even.
many stories from other shows. Like I just heard a story the other day where this guy was telling me about how John Dudley, Mr. Archery guy, wounded an elk on when they were filming, when this guy was guiding him and he wounded an elk. That never made the show. I have another frat guy that used to guide in eastern Montana. He was hunting with a hunting celebrity one time. Uh, for a week, he was helping him. The guy was hunting deer out of tree stands. The guy wounds 3 deer, never recovers any of them. And then after he goes home, this guy that I know that was guiding him finds one of the deer and calls the dude up and says, "Hey, I found one of the deer you wounded." The guy's like, "Oh, great. We'll get the skull cleaned up and that'll be the one I got on the episode." You know? So it's,
Right. Yeah. I mean,
So it's
Yeah, I
like
mean,
I get to see through a
first,
little
I'm not trying to.
peephole. I get to see through, like
Yeah,
all I get to I look through a little I get to see through a little tiny peephole and everything, and I see so much bullshit just through that little peephole that I can almost you can even imagine how much bullshit there'd be if you could see it all.
yeah. I mean, I was going to say, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to air anyone's dirty laundry, right? Like, it's not. I wasn't
Well,
really going down the path
I
of.
am. You shouldn't lie to people about that stuff. I
No,
don't.
no, no. But I'm saying, yeah. But just to clarify what I was saying before, I wouldn't be in it to kind of out. I mean, let's be honest.
I just think it's
Filming a hunt
like
or not,
it's people need to know that hunting media is BS.
yeah, 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 yeah. But what I'm saying is,
As
I wouldn't
somebody that
be.
doesn't think, I don't think any of it should be filmed and put out to a general audience.
Sure, sure,
So,
sure. And so along those, that's where I was going. Like, I'm saying that there are things that can go down in any activity that we do that shouldn't make the cut, right? Like there just is, right? So I'm not there trying
okay,
to,
then it's
get
reality
the.
TV. They should just, if they, okay, let's, these shows just had it at the beginning, like when the credits or like it just says at the beginning on a black screen, this is not real. There's things that were fabricated, then I'd be okay with it.
Right,
But they don't. They present it like it's
right,
real.
sure, sure, yeah. But all I was going for was their take on things more than than actually the actually what happens bit on a hunt or whatever is almost less. It's actually not almost. It's far less interesting to me than actually what they feel about what we're discussing.
Oh, I
Like,
know. That'd be way more. But
like,
you're an introspective person, Rory, like a deep thinker. There's a lot of people that are tuned into that stuff because they want to see, like we were talking about earlier, like this. They want to see the arrow penetrate the deer. That's why they're watching. They want to see and that's some ancient
yeah,
shit. That's some ancient shit. That's why
yeah.
we had the Roman Colosseums where people would go and watch all that stuff. People, there's even a word for it.
I'm
They
into
call
that
it,
too.
yeah, yeah. I like watching the deer get shot.
We're all into that, but it's look, fundamentally, right. We're all into that, and what's really important to me is that you do it yourself.
Yeah.
This is this is one of those few things, right, where you can just go and do that. You don't have to be genetically that special. That you're never going to be playing. The chances of you going and doing something internationally in sport is tiny, right? Like, but this is a thing that you can achieve this shit. You can go and do exactly what you just saw on that television program. You can do it, right? You can go find a spot and go shoot a deer with your dad's 30-06 legitimately. You can shoot in the chest and you can eat the damn thing. That's pretty freaking cool and pretty amazing, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
to then put your own experience behind, like, but then to rather almost watch someone else do it, like I get to, I understand watching it a little bit and then being like, man, I'm gone, right? I'm gone and I'm going to do it. I get that initial hook that you get to go and do these things, but to sit back, even as an experienced person, and just constantly flood others with likes and whatever else it might be above your own opportunity to go and do it yourself, that's just shit. That's just where you cross the line. You're not. You should be wanting to turn that off and go on and do it yourself.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's just it's a bit of a bummer. And like I say, I think in wrapping up, I think that a lot of the people, that is part of their hunting. I don't think they see it any different. They never would have known that it was any different than this. If you got into it 2 years ago and bought all your
Right.
shit and
Right.
and got stuck, you never knew what hunting was like in 1998.
Right. Right. Yeah,
right?
and it's
So
not even just a temporal thing. It's like, or what it could be like now, like when I was a little kid, I like to go out and stab frogs and then cook them, or catch fish, or shoot squirrels.
okay,
Right? You
right,
could still do that now, right?
right.
It, it's like these people that are brought into hunting through hunting media don't know that it can just be this simple, low
Yeah, yeah,
tech, humble,
yeah, yeah.
quiet pursuit
Yep, yep,
because they've never had that
yep.
modeled to them.
Yeah, like how yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly right. Like someone saying on camera that the taste of a doll sheep's backstrap is amazing means nothing to me.
Right. Hey, I got
Like, so
I
anyway,
I gotta go. We're having a little cocktail party here in 10 minutes, so I gotta get off. But I've really
good, good,
enjoyed
good.
these conversations with you, and I really appreciate you taking all this time to chat with someone halfway across the world about this stuff. Because
No,
these
it's good, man. Like I
we're
say,
talking,
yeah,
you're taking time out of your day, out of your schedule to discuss issues that are like, I don't know, they're like issues facing our country more than yours. You guys have a kind of a different suite of issues, but I really appreciate like how much time you've spent thinking about what we're dealing with over here. And there are a lot of parallels, between us
yeah,
and there
yeah,
too. So I don't mean to say that's entirely different, but
yeah.
anyway,
Good. Well,
Roy, yeah, I'm about to go off the grid for quite a while, but I'll check in with you in a few months, and maybe we could do another episode about something else.
yeah, no worries. No, well, good luck with it.
All right, take care of yourself. Enjoy your spring. Hey, wait, before we go, one last question. Is it really true that on the other side of the equator, the toilet spins in reverse?
Yeah, yeah,
It is true.
yeah, 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 yeah.
See, up here it spins
Yeah, it does.
clockwise. So there it really does spin counterclockwise,
Yeah, it goes the other way. Yeah,
like
and there's a spot.
counterclockwise. Goes like
Yeah, and
this.
there's a spot on. Yeah, and there's a spot on the Earth where it just goes straight down.
Oh, whoa.
No, I made that up.
Oh, you
I got
did.
no idea.
Okay. Okay, because
Yeah, yeah.
you got to think that what does happen right on the equator.
What happens there?
Yeah.
They just shit in a hole.
Okay. All right. With that, I'll talk to you later. Take care.
Knock you up. See ya.
Bye.
Bye, mate.